And we are live. Hey guys, welcome to the Max and Larry show. We are live, Crypto Talk now. We've got a good show for you tonight. It looks like the headlines in the crypto world are being dominated by Terra Luna, but we will talk about a few other things. So make sure you stay tuned. Please also do us a favor and smash the like button so this gets out to more people. Before we get into it, guys, let's just go ahead and say hello to Max. Max, how are you doing today on this Sunday?
I'm doing a lot better today than I did yesterday. Yesterday I only had 1 hour sleep, so for those few that watched yesterday, all I can say is give me the benefit of the doubt. I had a really rough day previously, but feel a lot better now. Batteries recharged, ready to go.
All right, cool. All right, so let's come over here. I'll share the screen and we'll come over and take a look at what's going on with crypto bubbles overall in the market. So you can see there's a lot of green going on. The one big thing, I guess, that I've been pretty much obsessed with, I think that you've been watching it closely too, Max. I know you're probably looking at a lot of other stuff, but I just can't get my mind off of Terra Luna and the story that's going on with that. But it looks like right now, well, there's a few other things that are down. So the only thing, I guess we can't play too much of a guessing game. The only thing that I bought was just a little more Luna. I'm just trying to trade it a little bit just to try to increase my position. Right now, I've got a little over like 1.3 million of it. So that's what's been going on. I'm trading it on the BNB side. On the crypto.com account, it won't let me buy anymore. It'll let me transfer, but it'll also let me sell, but it won't let me buy. So that's interesting.
Oh, okay. No, so they must have joined Binance in regards to that because Binance had that announcement there they're going to halt the trading. Or I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Coinbase Wallet also had that announcement in which they're going to halt trading, and that you could, I mean not halt trading, but you couldn't buy or sell, but if you wanted to transfer it, you can do that.
So I'm kind of hoping that maybe behind the scenes they're planning something. I mean, it looks like from what I was seeing and hearing that they might be doing a little bit of burns, but it's kind of hard to tell exactly what is going on. I know one thing, it looks like they've halted the supply, so that's good, but there is still, I don't know, almost like 6.5 trillion in circulation. And then, there's some different news articles here. I'll just pull them up. And then, you and I can kind of have a conversation about it, Max. But you can see here, Duke Wan right here, the head developer for Terra Luna, he's taking a lot of heat right now. There's just a headline there. And the other big thing is people are wondering what is going on with the Bitcoin reserve that they had that was supposed to back Luna in case something bad happened like this. Did you read anything about this or hear anything about the missing Bitcoin reserve?
That's news to me, man. I have to look into that then. I did not hear that they have been missing their enormous reserve because I mean that was the whole key to everything. What right was, you know, tapping into these emergency reserves and trying to get things turned around for the recovery plan. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll have to read up on that.
yeah, that's fine. I'll just, I haven't gone too deeply into it, but the gist of it is basically, that money was moved around, the Bitcoin was moved. It looks like a good portion of it ended up in a Gemini account. So also, like CZ from Binance has come out and said that he's not a big fan of the plan that Duke Wan came up with, the one where, they're coming out with wants to come up with a version 2 and then divide everything up and do like a snapshot of what happened before the crash. And, we were talking offline, Max, you think, that's a concern for people that are just buying in right now, like you and I, that didn't hold before the crash, but are just trying to speculate and buy in now. Isn't that a concern if we go to a V2 of Luna?
It's a huge concern in regards to that because at the end of the day, it's like them trying to move forward as I guess you could say a brand, a company, and so on. It doesn't really fix the whole problem of everybody who end up losing, right? It's just here's the plan for our community and our brand moving forward, and here's the new product, if you will, because at the end of the day, that's exactly what it is. It should be, you know what, we screwed up. We're gonna try to fix this. We're not gonna fix it over overnight, obviously, because that's not gonna work. But that's what I think a lot of people like myself, we were hoping for that they were gonna at least have some kind of a long term plan I don't know, 6 months, a year, maybe longer. It's just, but working with what they had and trying to realize that things got screwed up and so on, but they had a great team and ecosystem, and let's try to build the thing back up with the current one, not a V2. And
Right.
but I mean, again, it's just a lot of things have been proposed. That doesn't mean necessarily that the who is it, the governance board or whoever it is going to go along with that. So I did see a few people just connect. I want to go ahead and thank you guys, of course, for joining us on this Sunday, Crypto Talk Now with Max and Larry. And with that said, currently speaking, we are talking about Terra Luna and what's going on with that. We have some other topics we're going to get into, but nonetheless, guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. We've got 10 people watching now. We're talking about Terra Luna because it's been dominating the headlines. One thing that stands out to me, Max, I like to look at everything just kind of on a basic level. I try to keep everything kind of simple, but what kind of stands out to me, not knowing a ton about this project, I mean, I did buy into it because I'm speculating. It looks like, they have just a good project in terms of having a lot of different blockchains or different contracts. So there's many ways that you can buy Terra Luna, and then obviously they had it tied to UST, and that's what made it crash. Going back to the crash, do you think that possibly with the timing of the government wanting to regulate stable coins, do you think that possibly the government behind the scenes could have had a hand in causing this crash? I know it might be like kind of a conspiracy theory, but
It is a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy theory. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, it's fine.
yeah. I mean, I of course I'm not the end all be all. I'm not even trying to act like that. I'm just saying, for the most part, that's just a conspiracy theory. Does inflation and all those things, did that help it any? No, of course it didn't help it any. But at the same time, it's like, it's just really bad timing. But I would definitely say that the two biggest factors was that whole thing with BlackRock and Citadel, and then that whole thing of trying to, like, I'm not gonna read the whole or rephrase that, everything that happened in regards to that. You can read it up on yourself, but the things that happen behind the scenes in that is, I think what needs to be investigated at the very least. Um, you know, Maybe even with Do Kwon or Do Kwon. I don't even know how to really pronounce his name, but
Yeah.
that's beside the point. I mean, all that needs to be investigated. People can say, this is the government and so on. But here's the thing: if it really was the government, why would they just pick only Terra Luna, right? When you think they would pick, like Bitcoin as well? And some people say, well, yeah, they technically did. Well, okay, well, what's different from this year compared to previous years when, like, Richard Hart was saying of Hex, there's like a 3 to 3.5 year crash and it's about 65%. Does that mean they target it every 3 years? I mean, we could go on and on and on with this, but yeah, I would definitely start there if there's any type of proper investigation. And it would be interesting to see, if I guess the Fed or whoever, right? The SEC or whoever it is, right, will do a investigation in regards to that. You haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to say. It does sound like a conspiracy theory, but I will say this: this is definitely giving the government an opportunity to capitalize on what happened here, because they can come in and say, oh, this is the need for regulation with stable coins because they're not secure and they can hurt a lot of people. So even if the government's not behind it, the government can use this as a way to make that argument for regulation. You definitely see that
Right.
happen.
And then on top of that, I mean, here's something that I'm just going to throw out there, right? So, for instance, like, you're just on that page for the coin market cap listing of Terra Luna, and of course, was a show, Certic Audit, right? Certic Audit is supposed to be like the gold standard for, or the go-to place for, right, crypto auditing, right? That's the big
Right.
one that stands out. So it's like, well, how come they didn't catch this? So if they weren't able to catch this, it's kind of like, well, will two things happen in the future moving forward? Will Certic try to, realize, you know what, we need to do a better job in regards to this, or will it now enable another big, I guess you could say, audit service to come on and be an opportunity for them, or I should say, number three, will it be that the U.S. government makes like the government version of CERTIC? Get what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
something should happen. I'm not saying that I want all these things to happen. To a degree, I do, right? But not to the point where, great, now the government has its own audit system for crypto. That's what I am worried about. Because, I mean, if it gets to the point where it's just too much regulation, and then now projects can't even, kind of have a crutch, or like I don't know, something that's just like kind of holding them back, if you will, moving forward, then that's going to suck for crypto. You know what I mean? To a
Yeah.
degree. Yeah. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I definitely think that regulation is coming. I am worried about the government getting involved too much because they usually, as everyone knows, there's always a lot of red tape involved. I can see the government trying to regulate, definitely trying to have a way to regulate stablecoins after what happened with Terra, because it's just, it affected so many people, and they can, it's billions of dollars. So they can definitely use that as a rallying cry for regulation. I think also, I'm kind of like divided on this. But it's kind of unavoidable. I wish it wasn't, but there's a lot of people that are, bad people in the space or scam artists. I can see them going and making you fill out going through like an application process in order to start like a new token. Have you thought much about that? Because, of all the rug pulls and stuff like that, do you feel like that would be something that could help the space? Or do you think we just need to kind of regulate it ourselves, those that are already involved in DeFi?
Well, it's kind of like yes and no on that, because the way I look at it is yes, in regards to things like that happened recently with Terra, and then obviously, the Suzuki Inus and, those type of things, Squid Game, right? All that stuff. Yeah, right. And then the answer would be no in regards to, you know, certain projects that seem like they would have done well. I mean, at the end of the day, if the whole BlackRock / Citadel thing, whatever they did behind the scenes, if they never would have contacted Do Kwon, right? And if he was said, no, I don't like this idea that you guys are doing and so on, we wouldn't even be here today. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, how do you pick and choose what is good and what isn't? You can't really do that. So from a private sector side of the point of view, right, which would be, I guess you could say, a CERTIC and so on, that's where they need to up their game. From a public sector point of view, I guess you could say the government and so on. Okay, what are you guys going to do that's going to be so much different from CERTIC, right? It's kind of like, at the end of the day, it's like how we view government agencies and FBI and CIA and all that stuff. It's like, okay, you guys are, top secret with stuff that you do, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's not like you guys are magicians. They're technically working their magic, but I know it's a crazy analogy, but that's my whole thing. It's like, at the end of the day, it has a lot to do with, like, I guess you could just say, just code. Would a government agency realistically have some kind of mechanism to analyze all this stuff and do a better job than CERTIC? You would think so, but I don't know. Maybe it's just some from that team coming over to the government and them making an agency. I don't know. But again, it's like, great, another government agency.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, because you would hope that DeFi could just take care of itself. But, with stuff like the rug pulls that we've all seen, I think everybody that's probably watching this has, lost money in crypto. Hopefully you didn't get scammed, and hopefully you weren't part of a rug pull. But I can speak for Max and I, a lot of people, YouTubers and everything, have all been kind of victims of rug pulls. And I can see the government kind of going after that. I don't think that I think that might be further down the road, where they have like an application process and everybody has to be fully vetted before they can start a new project, a token or a coin, blockchain, whatever it is that you're trying to work on. I think the barrier of entry will be a little more difficult than it is now, where pretty much anybody can make, a token and get into it as long as you have, some money for liquidity. But yeah, I think that this Terra disaster kind of opens the door for, regulating the stable coins. But I'm also hoping that some people, that there's good stories that come out of this, stories that we're hearing of people making a few $100,000 on that dip the other day. I like to hear stuff like that. So hopefully people are taking advantage. I know a lot of people are traders out there and swing trading and making some money. So, it is kind of a lottery ticket at this point. Unless one thing happens, I think this is the key to the whole thing, Max, for Luna, for it surviving. And, in the title I put in there, can Luna get to a penny? So I think that it only can get there as far as a penny is concerned. I'm not saying it's going to get there in a week, but I think the key to the whole thing is burning. I think that's the thing. And obviously not minting any more of a supply. It looks like they've stopped the minting because it's depegged from UST. But do you see it having a realistic chance of getting to a penny at this point?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be soon, though. I think it's just, again, even see, there's a lot of factors, obviously, but let's just say, hypothetically speaking, the proposal going to V2 doesn't work out, and then they focus on the current thing of really trying to, again, repair that whole thing. I think over time, it'll go or get to a penny, not necessarily next week or next month or so on, maybe in 90 days or something like that, maybe a little bit longer. Again, it's really hard to say, but as far as, some of, other big wishes like 50 cents or $1 or something like that, like, man, that might take like 2 or 3 years or something at least. I don't know.
Yeah.
And by then it's like, well, if they accomplish that, does that really build the confidence back up? I mean, I don't know. Yes and no. Like right now we're talking about the whole thing with the inflation. Like that didn't help anything. But in reality, we both know that if the market turns back on and stays on, not like how it is the last few days where the market turns on for a few hours or turns on just for one day, then 2 or 3 days straight of, bleeding. I'm talking about really being on, seeing things become bullish again. That will, of course, as the saying goes, trickle down and help Terra Luna. Now, some people are also going to say, well, that's not necessarily true. Terra Luna, when everything was bleeding, Terra Luna was pumping. But you got to keep in mind, like, Terra Luna was pumping because it hit literally rock bottom. And then you had insane amount of volume, like in the trillions, like you pointed out, of buys. That's what pushed it up. So, and then, of course, then that leveled off, right? That's what's going on right now. It's leveling off. Again, they have a great ecosystem. And it's not like these people didn't have any experience with their, everything going on in the ecosystem or working with the Terra projects and so on. I'm talking like top tier people that worked in this space for Terra Luna. So if anything, it's not like they're going to forget like what they used to do or anything like that. You would think there would be a collective group of multiple teams trying to, resurrect this whole thing. And I think cooler heads need to prevail in which they say to each other, look, let's get together. Let's make this thing happen. But let's not be in such a rush to make it happen to please the public, because the public is going to be pissed at us no matter what right now.
Right.
So what can we do as a group to really get this going? And I mean, I get it. At the end of the day, it's not going to be Do Kwon dictating anything. I mean, he's not even in a position now to dictate anything. It's just his proposals. I think people need to get away from what his proposals are and then realize, again, it's not a dictatorship over there. They can listen to what he has to say, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like set up like I guess you could say like kind of like how Congress is set up, right? It's a collective group, and then they go in and they vote on what they're going to do moving forward. So the whole thing of everybody panicking, and to a degree a little bit myself, of this whole V2, you never know, they might still stick it out with this. So again, we'll find out.
Yeah, you mentioned the volume there too. Today's volume is still a lot. $4.5 billion. The market cap has slipped down to about 1.6 billion, almost 1.7. So a lot of people looks like they're they're just actively trading this, especially since, it's available on BNB, which I like because the gas fees are very, very, minuscule. But yeah, so I didn't hear any talk, and this probably doesn't work mathematically, but it's probably something that can't be done. But I wonder if they could just take the existing Terra, the existing Terra Luna, and just attach that to a new stablecoin instead of making a V2. But they probably can't make the math work or something like that. So you probably don't know anything about that either. But I'm wondering why they didn't just talk about attaching it to a new, like a UST version 2 or something like that. Like I said, the math
I
probably
saw
doesn't line
very
up.
little talk with that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, very, very little. It was something I mentioned, like literally like naming it in a new coin. I think it was like XUST or ZUST. It's some crazy bizarre thing, but
Yeah.
I didn't even really take it too serious because I mean it just seemed like it was just ideas that were being thrown out there on their particular forums and so on. And at the end of the day, I mean, technically anybody could do that, especially if you're a person who basically owns some of this before the big crash and so on. I guess depending on like the amount you owned or whatever, you could have been part of like like a governance board and so on. So technically anybody can bring proposals to the table, and there's nothing wrong with that. But again, I just saw very little in regards to that. I didn't really take it serious.
I'm just going to switch gears a little bit because, welcome everybody to the chat. We've got some more people filing in here. I just want to mention something like for a minute about Saitama, and then we can jump into some of the newer things that you want to talk about, or I should say things that we haven't talked about before, because I know
Sure.
you have like 2 or 3 and you can just pick which one. But I will say this about Saitama. Boy, it's like, I feel like, I'm just deflated from the news because I was so excited about the V2 coming out. And now there's all this fighting going on in the community with, the craziness of the wallets that they're looking at. And I didn't even bother to look into it too deeply. I'm not going to sit there for hours and analyze the wallets like a lot of people do, because there's already people doing that. So I just think, whatever is true and what's not true, I believe there's definitely things that are true. It just makes a black eye for Saitama. Like, you just cannot get out of the drama. And it's gonna hurt this project. And I just don't know. I know somebody asked yesterday, will Saitama and Shibnobi be around in 4 years? I mean, when stuff like this happens, it just seems like there's people just gunning for Saitama to fail. And I know that some people will say they're trying to protect investors, but if this stuff keeps happening, I think it's going to dramatically hurt the project. Can it still pump up with the V2? Absolutely, but I just think it's I don't want to say it's a death blow, but it really, really hurts. And it just, makes somebody like me as a holder kind of like, oh man, I thought we were, turning a page and we were going to really move forward with this V2. But what's your quick thoughts on that, Max, before we get into something else? Or if you want to elaborate more, just whatever you want to talk about with Saitama.
I won't harp on it too long, but I will say this. I mean, the way I look at Saitama is the way I've been looking at it since post Vegas event. And I know this sounds old because everybody says this, but
yeah,
it's like when it comes to Saitama, there's always going to be drama. I guess that rhymes. Wow,
yeah.
Is that the new slogan? When it comes to Saitama, there's always going to be drama. Anyway,
yeah, it seems like it. Yeah,
but yeah, at the end of the day, that's the way it is with Saitama. Can I just choose that? Focus on the drama? No, I'm not going to focus on the drama. I still think that they're going to be here in 4 years' time. Heck, they're coming up on the 1 year. Excuse me, hold on.
Yep.
So they're gonna, they're coming up on the 1 year, for instance. So with that said, it's like, just don't look so much at the drama. And the V2 sounds very exciting and so on moving forward. And again, I really think they're going to be around, 3 or 4 years from now, even longer. I still think the same thing with Shibnobi, aka Shinja, and so on. Every now and there's drama with that, with the Shibnobi project, but not even remotely as much as Saitama and so on. But I will say this: this is where I was trying to get to, and that is, I think for everybody, new investors to Saitama and old ones, pre and post Vegas run up, and that is, we have all learned when it comes to Saitama, by all means, for the love of God, take your profits off the top, especially when they have their next all-time highs, whenever
Right.
that's going to be. Some people might say, well, that's never going to happen. Well, you guys have been saying that forever anyway. But for the people that have been hodling with Saitama, and let's face it, for the people who don't speak negatively about this project, and they think, like for instance, Russ is the greatest thing to slice bread. That's not me bashing on Russ. I'm just saying it. Just generally, like, let's face it, Larry. There's a big crowd of people who will not speak negatively about this project whatsoever,
Right.
and rightfully so. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but again, we could all agree, for us or them, whoever, when you see new all-time highs or even going up to new all-time highs, by all means, it's Saitama. Take your profits off the top, at
Yes.
the very least.
I feel like you're talking to me because I need to.
No. I'm just looking at.
No,
at everybody.
you could be just talking to me because that's the big mistake I made. I regret not selling at all-time highs right at that Vegas event or even the day before.
Right, because you could have bought back in. Right. Yeah, if you wanted to, you didn't have to necessarily like sell the whole bag, or
Right.
I know some people say, well, don't sell the whole bag. Heck, you could have sold the whole bag, because at that point, looking at like, especially like a few days ago, especially when Luna crashed, right? Everything was down extremely bad. Then you could have came back in, right? So you already would have had, what's his name? It says you would have already won, right? And then at this point, it's just like, okay, well, you can just buy another bag later. I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of people get like a false perception in their head of how all this works and when to get in and when not to, and if you do take, profits off the top, that, well, how much profits off the top? Should I sell my whole bag? Should I save a moon bag? I think in this situation, previously, people should have just dumped their whole bag before that. That's just my opinion. And then get into it on the last crash. I know we have people just joining.
Yeah, let me just say hello to a couple people here. So Vitalik and also Harris. Now, I just want to actually address this one first. He says, when is the Lunar press release today? So that actually, I actually tweeted a fake account at one point, and that's my mistake. There, a lot of people were looking at this fake account that was saying there was going to be a 4:00 press release, but that was fake. So it wasn't from the official Twitter. So it wasn't from the team. So there is no release. I mean, they might be coming out and talking hopefully soon, but there's no scheduled time as of yet. And then also, this is the thing that I've been curious about too. I did try to find something, and it looks like I found at one point looking at Etherscan, and I'm not an expert when it comes to analyzing all this stuff, but I'm looking at Dex Tools right now. I don't see any real change in here, but I did hear some rumors that they are burning some of the supply, and I'm just hoping that they will do that. Let's just see what this comment says. So Dorval family says it's possible that it might reach $1 if they could burn or get rid of all the new minted tokens. CZ from Binance came out and said that the team might not have the money to do that. That's the thing. That's the big concern. Right now, if you just joined us, I talked about in the beginning, there's a bunch of Bitcoin that's missing. And I'm just trying to see if I can find that article here. It's Bitcoin reserves is about $3.5 billion worth of Bitcoin that was supposed to be there as a reserve for Terra Luna. And I don't know if this is true or not. I have to go back and verify stuff, but apparently a lot of it was moved around all over the place. And some of it, if not all of it, ended up in a Gemini wallet and then kind of dispersed from there. So I don't know really what's going on, but, and I'm going to get Max to chime in here in a second, but also Harris says, I bought it at 0.005. So, Max and I have both bought it at different price points. But as I was saying earlier, I think a lot of it comes down to the burn. So are you hearing anything else about the burn as far as if they're really going to burn it? And also, did you hear any rumors about when the team might be coming out to speak, Max?
Didn't hear anything about when the team is supposed to come out and speak on this. Maybe that's what they're referring to as far as, was it says, when is the Lunar press release today? I don't know when the press release is today. There was a fake
thing. No, I'm sorry to cut you off. I'll just give you the background on one thing because I actually retweeted it one time. There was a fake thing going around saying at 4:00 today that there was going to be a press conference, but that was a fake account. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Max.
No, that's okay. I did get a message, and it was from Common Sense. I don't even know if he's here on the weekend, which I wouldn't expect him to be, just because we do things every day. And I don't expect people, necessarily watch us every day, but that'd be great if they did. Go ahead and do what you're going to mention. I was actually going to try to pull up the message that he gave me, and I believe it was in regards to Terra Luna. Yep, I found it. So the big announcement was in regards to Wrapped Luna. It does state, it says, in light of recent volatility involving Terra ecosystem assets, UST and Luna, Coinbase will suspend trading in UST and Luna on May 27th, 2022, on or around 12 p.m. Eastern on Coinbase, Coinbase Pro, and the Coinbase Exchange. It says your ability to store, send, and receive UST and Wrapped Luna will not be impacted. There is no impact to the Coinbase wallet. So just a little announcement in regards to if you happen to hold it on your Coinbase wallet or actually just straight on, like the desktop version of Coinbase.com.
So yeah, I'm just looking at the BSC scan because we had the comment here that you can find on their BSC wallet that supply is decreased. So I'd have to figure out exactly where the wallet is. Like I said, I'm not an expert at kind of like the blockchain forensics type stuff. So
that's all right. Let me address some of these comments right here. So real quick, for instance, we have Harris. He says Luna will go up in the next couple of days. He says he bought it at, of course, 0.0005. I bought mine at, well, I should say my first bag, I bought it, I don't know, it's about $400 worth at a little above a penny. And then I got a second bag on the dollar cost averaging for 0.3, or sorry, 4 zeros and a 5. And at one point I even made like as high as $300 of profit. Some people say, well, you should just took it. For me, I wasn't really trying to do the whole swing trading at the time. I was looking to see, like, man, if they can just even repair this. Because with my second bag, I ended up having a total of like, I don't know, 1 million, maybe 200,000. And I was kind of looking at it like, wow, if this was able to get repaired, even at 50 cents, I'm going to come out like with $500,000 or something like that, man. So I wasn't really looking at like, hey, I need this to be repaired, in a few days, a week, or anything like that. Now, in regards to some of the things you guys are saying, and by the way, holla right back at you, Cody Core. You always, supporting the channel. We love you, man. Same with you, Sumo. We really appreciate you guys. In regards to the swing trading, now, again, I just want to point this out for you guys, okay? So obviously some of you guys are thinking about like, some of these questions like, where do you think Luna will be in a couple days? That tells me like maybe you kind of like on the fence of maybe thinking of the whole thing of hopping on the swing trade and so on. And I can't blame you because it does look very appealing. All I can say is this, and that is, if you're going to do that, don't try to stretch yourself so much out in which you're looking at the graphs and so on. For the graphs that are most appealing, I guess you could say, and have the best functionality on the fly. For me, I know Larry loves DEX tools. We all have DEX tools. It's simple, right? But as far as it being like instantaneous, I got to go with KuCoins. Like, watch what other people say about it as well. Like, it's just so much better, in my opinion, because it's just like literally milliseconds on the fly with updates, right? Like, literally see buy and sells like just super fast. Here's the point I'm trying to make. And again, use at your own discretion. I haven't done it yet because for me personally, I need to, of course, wait until next month because I don't know, in the next couple of weeks, I get paid bi-weekly. So I'm going to wait until next time I get paid. And that is, they have on KuCoin a bot trial, like a free bot trial. I think it's like maybe 7 days if I'm not mistaken. Use at your own discretion. And then you could, based from what I heard, you could set it up in which, let's say you can do a buy alert to instantly buy like a set amount that you want. So let's say the thing dips back down to, I don't know, 0.40 in a number, then you can get it. And then if it goes up, even just for 15 minutes, right, to 0.20 in a 2, because literally that happened yesterday and the charts will show you that happened. Now, if that's what interests you, again, take a look into it. Again, not financial advice or anything like that, but guys, I don't want to see you all stressed out over this, obsessing over charts and keeping yourself up 24/7 in that regard. Let the bot work for you. That's what it's there for. And if anything, it is a free trial. Now, I will say this. I don't know if it's a free trial for current KuCoin members that already done trading and so on, but that's what came up on my radar. That's what came up on other people's radar. You'll have to, as we say, do what? Do your own research, look into it, and see if it's for you.
So he's saying about the run guys, we're shilling this Luna coin since last year, and it's literally turned into a hype in the last few days. Harris says he has 1.5 billion Tektronic. I think I have a little bit of that in crypto.com. And he's got 2.5 million in Terra. So yeah, it's interesting. You know, I think it all just comes down to the burns. I went over here to the BSC scan, and it looks like from what I'm seeing, I had it up there. I had it up there for a second, but basically when I went into the null address, here it is. It looks like there's stuff going in there. Like, see that 29 seconds ago? I'm guessing that this is their burn address, and it does show like small quantities going in there. So I don't know. So maybe they're just, I don't know how this burn is happening. Let's see, hundreds, thousands, you know, just small amounts, 11 million. But yeah, it's just going to take like a lot of burning. And I don't know how this is getting in there. If it's something that they're doing or somebody else is sending it there, I'm not sure. We're just going to wait and hear what the team says when they come out and say whenever
yeah. We can try to see if there's somebody who also is a little bit more knowledgeable of, you know, maybe somebody covered this like in a video, like, hey, this is how the burn mechanism is currently working,
right.
And then have some evidence to show, you know, how that's being done or something, you know, just with more in-depth analysis about what's going on, like, because I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, going to a null address that basically, you know, signifies a burn. So, but you know, we need to know more about it.
Yeah, like this could just be, you know, I don't know who's sending it there, but it's kind of hard to, you know, for me, I don't completely understand this because I'm looking at here and there's, yeah, it was like 5 minutes ago. Let me just try to update this right here. I'm just looking to see if there's any more ones coming in 23 seconds ago. So there's just small, tiny amounts coming in, like this one here, like 100,000. So I don't really know what's going on. Hopefully they're going to, like I said, they're going to have to come out and tell us. But that's a good idea. Maybe there's somebody that's done a video on YouTube that understands how the burning mechanics work for Luna. So.
All I can say is this. If there really is going to be hyper burn, like I guess you could say some of them have stated, it kind of makes sense, right, to do burns just in general, right? We all agree on that, whether the collapse of Luna happened or not. But it's like, man, now you see that they're in a big rush, of course, to do this. It's like, well, why isn't other projects like Shiba Inu doing this, right? But the thing is, they are doing this, you know, just not to the crazy amount of escalation that you see in Terra Luna. Anyway, you got to read some of Fud's comment?
Yeah, so Selamo Fudd says the feds are just waiting for their chance to get the central bank digital currency up and running so they can say they fixed the problem in crypto. Yeah, I think as I was talking earlier, I don't know if you were here, I think that this just gives them something to go off of as far as regulation. And, you know, maybe if they're looking to do that digital dollar, because, you know, that's kind of like along the lines of the stable coin as well. But I just think from the stable coin standpoint, this, you know, Terra collapse just gives the government all kinds of ammunition, if you will, to start to beat the drum for regulation of stable coins.
And again, remember we talked about yesterday. We'll read this comment just real quick, but I want to make a comment real quick.
Yeah,
and that is, we talked about this yesterday, and that is, okay, so the government or the Fed, whatever you want to call it, makes a proposal to do a digital dollar. But that's the whole thing. We don't know if that digital dollar is even going to be put on the blockchain. Now, if it is, then that definitely says what? It's obviously crypto, and it's going to be the government's version of crypto. Currently, the only cryptocurrency that the Fed has officially adopted, right, is XLM, and that's why that was a big thing, you know, with Stellar Lumens, like moving forward. But If they don't put it on the blockchain, then obviously it's not crypto. It's just what? A digital dollar. So these are two things that, like we all need to pay attention to and find out what's going on. I will say this, and this is not me dropping a bombshell or anything like this, but this is just food for thought. Think about this. So from, I believe, 1971, roughly, President Richard Nixon took us, and Congress, I guess you could say, took us off of the gold standard, as you know, right? So the dollar used to be backed by gold, as we if we follow our history and so on. Wouldn't it be something that a new digital dollar is introduced, it gets put on the blockchain, and then people say, well, okay, well, what makes this different from any other, like from stable coins? And then all of a sudden, like Janet Yellen or whoever, right, says, guess what? It's backed by gold. Then that tells us, wow, this is going to totally change the game. I'm, of course, not saying that's going to happen, but it would be incredibly interesting if they took that route, needs to say.
It would be, yeah. I mean, you make a good point because, going back to what you said about the digital dollar, that's not, it's like a totally different animal. It's not really crypto. So, I'm just going to read this comment here. So he says Luna is going to be the oil and gas currency for Venezuela, Russia, and Oman. Luna has a bright future. And he says future billionaires are all Luna's new investors. Buy now, Luna, because tomorrow it could be much more expensive. And Salmore Fudd says the word algorithm is starting to be a bad word these days. Yeah, I could agree with that. We talk about algorithms with YouTube and with Google, and now we're talking about this algorithmic stablecoin. So, I think that AIs, algorithms, they're almost human. They make mistakes too.
Right. And at the end of the day, I mean, it could, like you said, make a mistake. I was just going to say back to what I was saying earlier, because now this just kind of got me thinking. It's just like, for a lot of people who are against, for instance, like the government making a digital dollar, their case is, well, what's the big deal? I mean, if it's just based on the U.S. dollar, it's kind of like how we look at the U.S. dollar right now. It's just like in centralized banks. It's like you really want to keep your money in the centralized banks with the inflation, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of the day, the government has to basically sell the American people, or I guess in this case, the world, on why to even get back into any form of a dollar, a digital dollar, et cetera, et cetera. So to me, it's like, man, now this is starting to make a little bit more sense. If they can make a proposal of, but guess what? We realize you guys' comments or questions, comments, and concerns of just being based on a dollar. And guess what? It's actually backed by gold. I mean, wouldn't that be appealing? Right?
Yeah, for sure. 2112 Crypto says, not necessary. We are in control. I think he's talking about the algorithm or AI versus people. And then Harris says, can you explain the Luna chart right now? I've got the 5-minute chart. Do you want me to put it on a certain mode here? You want to try talking about the chart?
Sure. So, I mean, you got DEX tools, which of course, is going to show you like how many buys and sells and so on, but it's just too many of that. I mean, it looks like we're having more buys than sells. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this maybe starts going the other way. But it's hard to say. I mean, of course, we'll have to check out KuCoin as well. But from what I'm seeing right here, it's just kind of like 50-50 almost. Was that?
Looks like a consolidation period right now. A lot of sidewards.
Yeah.
Almost like a couple hours going on here now.
Right. So as a result, look, the price reflects that. You have the 0.3 zeros and a 2, and it's been that way for a while. I would say for about half the day. Yeah. So it's like you just said, it's a lot of consolidation and so on. So where do we go moving forward? Well, I'll say this much. A couple of days ago, we had literally, over $1 trillion worth of volume, right, Larry?
It was ridiculous. Unless the numbers were wrong, it was like over $1 trillion. I was like,
no, it wasn't wrong, because what happened was it created that pressure cooker effect, and what you saw, you saw it spike for like, what was it, like a half an hour, and it spiked up
Yeah.
to 2 zeros and a 2. So for those people, again, who had the bot set up to buy at 6 zeros, right, and set up so even if it was set to 3 zeros, those guys really, really saw crazy profits in regards to that. And especially the one that held out to 2 zeros in the number is my point.
Yeah.
So do you see that currently happening right now? Like, no, like what Larry's saying, you're seeing sideways action with this, because I mean, even from, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more, even from that I want to say between the 1300 and 1400 mark, and then moving forward to the 1680 mark, it's about 50-50, close to it, with buys and sells. And if that continues to happen, like let's say that happens all day today, all day tomorrow, you're just going to see this sitting around 3 zeros and a 2. I don't really think that's going to continue to happen. I think, especially those people that have their bots set up, like they're going to see some kind of a spike. But again, if it's 50-50, there's not going to be a spike. So if your guys are, into the whole swing trading when it comes to this, and I can't exactly blame you, again, you're not going to really see much. But if you're willing to be a little more patient and so on, and you are going to use the bot, whether it's KuCoins and so on, if you're really, really serious about it, of course, set it, play around with it, of course, know what you're doing, but set it to just, get it for whatever you're agreeing to get it for. And I realize that there's going to be some people, they're only going to be focused on it doing what? Maybe just dropping 1 zero, and they're also going to be focused on it also doing what? Increasing a 0. So,
Yeah.
Going back and forth. If you only want to do 1 zero, that's understandable. Maybe you just want to do the quick, make a, I don't know, $50, $100 here, but like literally doing it like every day. There's people who are going to do that, but there's also going to be those people who are like, nah, like we were talking about the other day, the guy who literally set his bot for 6 zeros and a 6, I believe it was, and then literally saw it, he put in like $6,000, and then saw it shave off 3 zeros, and then go to a 1, I believe it was. And then with the math, it was like 10 billion tokens, or not tokens, coins, with the Luna coins. And then see it go up to 3 zeros and a 1, and that came out to be $1 million, which is crazy. Literally,
Crazy.
people became overnight millionaires.
I just want to take a second to welcome everyone that has just joined us. Looks like we have some more people jumping on the stream. We really appreciate you. We want to just read some of these comments here. 2112 crypto says, but it will bring big money to tech regulation, that is. I do agree with that the regulation, the good side of regulation, other than, possibly protecting some people, it'll probably bring in a lot more investment dollars for people that are just waiting right now, mainly people that are invested in stocks that might not trust crypto. But is Fort Knox still filled with gold? That's a good question. I'm not even sure. I think I would hope it is, but it's probably not as much gold as it used to have. Always help others. It's a strange world now, for sure. And Bitcoin, and he's saying, let's go. So, but yeah, so it looks like we're talking a lot about Luna. We can continue talking about Luna if that's what everybody wants. Or we can go on and talk about a couple others that you wanted to talk about. But let us know in the chat, guys, what you want to do. So
yeah, by all means, guys, we had quite a few more people join. Literally, probably like double the numbers, if not tripled.
Right.
So we thank you guys for that. Significant amount of people just recently joined. Thank you guys, of course, for joining us on here. Crypto Talk Now with Max and Larry. By all means, hit that like, subscribe if you can. Harris says, can you look at Tectonic? I'm not actually personally invested in Tectonic, but it's always been on my radar. I know they have really good staking rewards. What about you, Larry?
I have just a tiny bit of it, just because I grabbed it when it became available on crypto.com. It hasn't really done too much for me, but when I say a tiny amount, like I probably have, I don't know, like $20 or $50 worth of it. Yeah, here it is. It's related to BVS. I think this is it, BVS Finance. I don't have the BVS Finance one, but I grabbed some of this.
See, that was the thing with me. I got into VVS before Tonic kind of broke out.
So yeah, I don't really know too much about the project. Like it was
A lot
just
of buy and sells with that one, huh?
yeah, it's up 4%. I just literally just grabbed it just because it was a new offering, and I knew it was related to VVS, but I didn't even really look into it. I know that's kind of backwards, but sometimes, when you get into something that's new on an exchange, it can have a nice pump if it's newly offered. So that was kind of my theory on that one. But yeah, let's check it out real quick here. So you really haven't looked into this one either, Max, huh?
No, I mean, it was one that was on my radar. I remember Aaron Bennett covering it and so on. He always does a great job on the technical analysis and so on. But
You know what we'll do when we have a little more time is we'll research this offline and then we'll bring it to you. How about we bring it to you Monday? We'll talk, even if we talk about it for 5 minutes, that way we're really a little more educated on what's going on. But it looks like some people are saying in here, he wants to talk about Volt, Cody Core. Dorval actually says, no, please just talk about Luna and Shinobi and Shinja. So it's up to you,
well,
Max.
Shinobi is Shinja, but yeah.
Huh?
I was gonna say Shinobi is Shinja, but yeah.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I see
That was
Shinja, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I read it that way. I'm kind of looking at the screen over here.
Well, you tell me, Dorville, what is standing, out to you in regards to Shinobi? I mean, Larry and I are both personally invested into it. I mean, other than, what they got going on with Dojo Swap and so on. For me personally, like, I'm excited to hear, moving forward about what their plans are in regards to like the metaverse and so on. Because for me personally, that's just like on my channel, Maximus Crypto, all one word. That's I cover like Luna One, I cover Metopolis all the time. Those are just metaverse platforms that I really am excited about. So when I heard that Shinobi was going to do their own like metaverse type thing, that interested me because at the end of the day, it's like it's going to create what a lot of volume in regards to just money transferring, and I'm glad that they're hopping on board on it. So
yeah, we might actually have Cliff come on one of these days. He's been he was supposed to come on the other day, but his schedule didn't match up. So we'll see. Maybe he'll come on later this week. We can talk more about Shinja. So we got to say hello to Selmore Fudd. He says, you guys are doing a great job. Thank you. And unlike a few influencers who are concerned about big numbers in their stream and likes, and they jump from stream to stream and never support their own community. And
well, thanks,
Cody,
Summa.
Thank you. And then Cody Core says, I'm up for anything. And Dorval Family says, I'm heavily invested in Shinja. We've got a few more minutes. What were the ones that you wanted to talk about, Max? You want to just talk about one of them today and save the rest for Monday?
Yeah, we'll just talk about one of them today, just real quick.
Okay, you pick which one.
So let's do well, maybe we got a decent crowd on here. Let's do the one about Social. So for instance, we got Selma, we got Cody, and so on. Let's talk about Social real quick.
Okay.
So, guys, I'm gonna give you guys a brief introduction to this particular project. I'll show we won't look at this page just yet. We're gonna bring up their actual site. So, for instance, this is me kind of throwing even Larry a curveball, right? So, for instance, what I was gonna state is we did talk a little bit about Luna. Just we want to cover this just real quick. I'm not trying to be dismissive or anything like that. But what I was gonna state is you guys have been into, for instance, Phantom. And what stands out with Social, it's kind of like the same concept, but on a way bigger scale. So, for instance, if you guys were like either personally invested into Phantom, I know Larry used to be, and so on, this might be appealing to you because, again, it's kind of like that same concept, but on a bigger scale. So, for instance, it says, "Welcome to the future of social media, the first uncensorable, permissionless, and truly open social network." So, for instance, Phantom making the claim that they're the first and only ones to do it. It's called, at the end of the day, do more research. You'll find out there's actually other projects out there. They're doing the same model. And the cool thing is this. At the end of the day, it's more like just like the concept that they're trying to do, not making everything censored. Like, more free speech and so on. It kind of reminds you like of the concept of Facebook, but without all the politics and trying to censor people and so on. Again, I'm not going to put a lot of focus on it and so on, but I did want to introduce this to you guys because it did have some of these things. For instance, like where it says earn money, every user is rewarded fairly for what they bring to their followers. So instead of just having a user base and making things like a popularity contest, you can actually get rewarded for it. Almost like a similar business model as XCAD when it comes to like people like ourselves, like who are influencers and so on. That's just as fast and scalable. But if you do want to go, of course, just basing this on price action, Larry can bring up, of course, that page again. And I will just point out one thing. Like, for instance, it's at about 44 cents. What's significant is if you look at the 1 year chart, it's not that old. And then you zoom out to all. Yeah, there you go. So, for instance, I think it was up above. Go up a little more. A little bit more. Yeah. So, I mean, it did see all-time highs not that long ago of about $1.55. So, I mean, even right now, so people could look at this as a buying opportunity and so on. Again, do your own research. But for those who were impressed with, Phantom's business model about being the whole, uncensored new social media platform, and they got turned off with this, maybe this is something you want to look into. Again, not financial advice, but I just thought I'd introduce it to you guys.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought this one up. A lot of us, there's probably a few people here that might have invested in Phantom. I have heard that it was a new thing. I think also Wafer Coin was one that tried it, or they're still around. I don't know how well they're doing now, but I haven't heard of this one. So I'm glad that you told me about this one, Max, because I'm going to have to take a closer look at this one offline. But you might have already said it, is their platform currently operational now, or is this something that they're working on? Do you know?
This is something that is currently being built. And the cool thing is it's, one of those things I believe that's built upon Solana backed by them. So, guys, I realize that a lot of you guys want us to, mainly keep talking about Luna and so on. At the beginning of our stream, we covered it quite a bit. It's just for us, we actually had to cut this short, like in the next, 8 minutes or something like that. That doesn't mean we're asking you guys to leave just abruptly and whatnot. If you want to catch the coverage that we just did earlier in regards to Luna, we did talk about it quite a bit. We can maybe talk about it just for a little bit more before we have to get going. You want to touch more basis on that, Larry?
Yeah, we can do that. If you guys rewind also or watch this afterwards, you guys can go back. I think for the first 45 minutes, we did talk about Luna in pretty good detail. But yeah, I'll go back here and pull up what's going on with the chart. I think I've lost. I had the BNB chart up actually for Luna, but oh no, not Luna Inu. I don't want to see that one. So what's going on with Luna is we talked a little bit about the missing Bitcoin was a thing that was a concern for me. We also talked about the plan that they had, that Duquan had, and we also had some concerns. There was a fake rumor going around that 4 o'clock today they were going to make an announcement about a burn, but that was actually from a fake Twitter account. So the team
right.
has.
And I want to add. I want to add real quick also, and that is, for you guys that are following it on Twitter, there's a fake account. It looks real, and it's called $Luna. The real one that you want is Luna_money. So I just want to throw that out there. All official announcements will be done through that. And if you want to compare it, just go to the one on the CoinMarketCap listing. But if you see the one with the yellow icon and so on, it just says, $Luna. I mean, you would think that would be the real one. And they do appear to be real because, it's got a lot of followers and so on. That one is fake. So just
and be careful, guys, because they're asking for, I did do a couple retweets, but I figured out afterwards it was fake. Sometimes if you go back up, they'll have a thing about donating to their PayPal. That's how I first caught it, because I thought maybe it was just a fan page for Luna. And then also I didn't like the fact that they asked for your wallet. I definitely wouldn't post your wallet address on Luna, or I'm sorry, for the Luna fake account on Twitter, because you don't know what they're doing. I mean, they could airdrop you some fake tokens and you could be a victim of a dusting attack. So I never would put my wallet out on Twitter like that. If you get somebody asking for that, I would stay away from those things. Just a word of caution. But going back to the chart again, I'm not a chartist, but I do realize that, over probably more around the last like 3 hours, coming up on actually 4 hours, it looks to me like the last 4 hours is a lot of consolidation right now. I don't see too much of a dip going on. I know that one of you said that there was a dip happening. Oh, Harris said that. It just all depends on what you're looking to do. If you're looking to swing trade this, if you're looking to hang on to it and see what happens a little bit longer, longer term, or maybe in the next couple of days. But what's your strategy going in? Like, do you have a strategy? Are you planning on hanging on to it? Because I don't think you're really swing trading it, right? Are you looking to see if Luna can turn things around?
I guess we'll give him a chance to respond.
Okay.
I was
asking you too, Max. Yeah, I was.
You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. What's your strategy? Like, are you planning on?
I'm not going to be swing. Yeah, I'm not going to. That's my thing. Yeah, it's just my thing was, I got plenty of course long-term ones and so on. I was real tempted, like a lot of people, to do the whole swing trading, and that, again, maybe I don't know. I might wait a couple weeks or something to do some of that. I realize it's hot right now. It's just, I got way too many investments right now. Yeah. I'm closing in on like 40 different crypto projects at this point. But yeah, it is very tempting to do the swing trade, especially when you see 50-50s on those. If anything, again, guys, don't obsess over the chart. Don't just sit there looking at it all day long. If that is you and you're serious about it, like I said at the beginning of our live stream, by all means, look into KuCoin's bots. They got a free trial. So if you're not wanting to shell out, extra money, play around with that bot. I mean, I can't personally recommend it or anything like that because I haven't played around with it yet. But from what I heard, it is pretty user friendly. And if anything, you're able to see on the fly on their chart, not like how it is right here, but literally on the fly within milliseconds, what's going on with the prices and so on. And then that way you could set your buy for, let's say you're hoping, right? At the end of the day, we're all hoping. So let's say you set your buy for, 0.40 is a number, or maybe you're like, man, maybe I'll get lucky like some of these other guys did a couple days ago. Because some guys did get lucky a few days ago and it went down to 6 zeros in a number. They set their buy on their bot, right? And then they set it so, all right, I'm going to sell when it shaves off 3 numbers. Those guys won, and they won big time. So, I mean, again, you're going to have to do your own research, take a look into it. Again, it's not financial advice or anything like that, but see if it's something for you. But I will at least advise on this, okay? Do not just sit here and just stare at this all day and just drive yourself nuts. Get a bot. It doesn't have to be KuCoin's bot, but get a bot. I'm recommending KuCoin in the regards to what? It's a free trial. So it is what it is.
Yeah. I'm looking to see what happens. The only thing I've been doing is I'm, like I said, I'm not an expert trader. I'm more of an investor, but I'm trying to take advantage of this a little bit. So the only thing I've been doing is I kind of want to see if it gets back up into the 4s. I just want to probably sell off like half my bag and then just buy back in. That's the only thing I've been doing is just kind of like selling off when it hits a certain level, and then just buying back in just so I could accumulate some more. I've got about, like I said, about 1.3 million right now. So not a huge bag at this point, but it is kind of like a little bit of a downward trend. But it's still above the 2s. We'll have to wait and see if it gives back a 0 or not. I don't have a crystal ball, so I really don't know, but I'm kind of like hoping that this thing turns around. I don't know if it's going to get to a penny, but if it can get to maybe a half a penny, I mean, it's possible. You're talking about maybe like a $30 or $35 billion market cap at like a half a penny. But, if they start burning a lot, then that kind of just throws a monkey wrench in everything. And it could definitely,
Right.
Go more than that, So we just really don't know. I think the key thing is hearing from the team, having Do Kwon come out and just say something. And I think that a lot of people will base their sentiment off of what they're hearing from the team.
Yeah, true. I'm just looking out for the time for you, my friend.
Yeah,
There.
yeah. I've got some personal stuff I got to take care of, guys, today. So I apologize because we are getting, looks like we're getting more people coming in here. We got 19 people in here. So I apologize. I have to cut it short, but I will do a quick commercial and then Max can say goodbye. So, guys, see us tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to talk a lot about some different things. I think Max will probably wind up talking about 3 different token projects or so. And we also want to hear from you in the chat as to what you want to talk about. And who knows, we'll probably be talking about Luna tomorrow as well, because it looks like this is, Luna's kind of turned into like a meme token at this point. But I do want to thank everyone for joining us. I wish that I could spend more time here, but I do have to take care of some personal things. And then, Max, I'm going to give you the last word to say goodbye to everybody.
All right, guys. I realized at first, we only had a few people who connected and so on, and then towards the end, it's just like quite a few, and we're actually kind of sad to cut this short, especially
cut it short,
with a decent amount of people on here. But I just want to thank you guys, of course, for joining us on this Sunday, and I'll just wrap it up with this. Luna is looking like a meme token. However, their ecosystem is seasoned veterans.
Really good, yeah.
Who have been part of the whole thing for a long time compared to those who have no experience in the puppy dog Inu space. So I'll just leave it with that. So you guys have a good day. Thanks.
Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Come join us tomorrow, Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care, everybody.